Hello and welcome. My name's Liz and this is Guided by Angels, and today I'm going to talk about how you can humanize your person to be able to detach more and be closer to union than ever before. Because a lot of the time what we do on this journey as a twin flame, and the masculines do this too to the feminine, but as a feminine what we can do is we can actually look at our masculine like they are this romanticized version of themselves. So we put them on a pedestal, we think they're amazing, and don't get me wrong, they are. You know, your person is your absolute perfect match. Your person is everything you could ever imagine a person to be. So for example, if you said to God, I want a person to look like this, to have these qualities, to be this way, to walk like this, talk like this, then God would say, well, here you go. And that's your perfect person. That's your counterpart. That's why you want them so much, desire them. That's why you're so attracted to them. You think they're gorgeous, beautiful, handsome, sexy. You know, you just see them as the absolute epitome of everything you could ever want in another person. So sometimes we can romanticize that and put them on a pedestal and even think that they are too good to be true, or that we're not good enough for them. Why would they want me? And that's self-worth issues, because to them, you're the same. So for example, if they could write down all the things about a person that they want, all the qualities, all the looks, everything, then and give that to God, God would create you. So for each other, you are a perfect match, and that means that you are deserving of each other, that you are worthy of each other. But they also go into their own insecurities and their own fears about being good enough for you. So it's very mirrored. So when you're close to union, what you start doing is you start humanizing them, because we can dehumanize them on this journey and see them as like this God, or we put them on a pedestal like this divine being. And like I say, they are guilty of doing this too with you, but from your perspective, this is how you can get a handle on it. So you can start realizing, hang on, this person is a human being. Because when you're in union, you know, people sometimes see union as a dream relationship, or it's going to be the answer to your prayers. You come into union, then everything's magical. And of course, it's a magical connection, and you're going to have a magical relationship together when you are in union. But when you're in union, you'll have things happen to you because that's the way life is. So for example, you'll get into a relationship and you'll still have to pay bills, go to work, do things around the house, do the washing, cleaning. You'll start seeing them in a more human way, because they'll perhaps be going to the bathroom and going to the toilet, and you'll be thinking, oh, these are things you may not imagine them doing. So they will become more human in that way. So we have to humanize them to be able to move into union with that. Because if we're putting them on a pedestal all the time, thinking of this romanticized version of themselves, we'll really be coming back down to earth with a bump when we come into union. So the closer you get to union, the more you start surrendering, the more you start remembering your own worth and value and putting your boundaries down, the more you start humanizing that and really looking at them in a different way. Now, you still love them and you still want them and you still desire them, but you start thinking, oh, there are things about them that they need to heal or deal with, or there are things about them that perhaps aren't the way I thought they would be. Because sometimes on this journey we fall in love with the idea of being in love, or we fall in love with the idea of union and how it will be, not the actual way it will be. So we start humanizing it. That's when we move closer to union. That's when you start detaching more, relaxing more, and realizing it's going to be okay. Because we start recognizing that our person is actually a human being just like us, and they have flaws just like we do, and they have habits just like we do. And they have things that they want to change about themselves, like we have things we want to change about ourselves, or things we are perhaps insecure about or worried about. They have that too. So for example, you may have a few things you think about yourself. You love yourself, and hopefully you do, working on self-love. But you may think, what if they don't like this about me? Or what about this with me? Or especially if you've known them a long, long time. Because if they've known you perhaps for 20 years, and they know how you were and how you are now, even though you are a much more heightened, stronger, more beautiful version of yourself now, you may feel like you've changed in some way. And you may feel like, what if they remember that? Or what if I don't live up to that? Or it can be the same if there's an age gap between you. And you're perhaps thinking, what, they could go out and get anyone, or this or that. They think the same things about you. So really what I'm trying to say here is, when you start humanizing them, you start recognizing that they are on your level. And you don't need to feel otherwise, like they are too good for you or you're not good enough for them, because they are human too. So you start recognizing the things that they do. Maybe you even start focusing or thinking about things that you want them to change or they could change. And that doesn't mean you point them out to them, but you start thinking, they're a bit negative about that. They need to be a bit more positive. Or you start recognizing, they're not as wonderful or as magical or as flawless as I thought they were. You start recognizing things about them that humanize them. So I'm not going into this as in saying, you start realizing you don't love them or want them. Of course you do. You'll always love and want them. But you just realize that perhaps they're not this romanticized version of them that they once were in your own eyes. And that's when you're getting closer to union, because then you realize that you can be together, because being in union is not this magical, wonderful relationship. It's just a wonderful relationship. It will be magical in its own way, but what I'm trying to say is it's not this castle in the sky. It's going to be a house down the road. So what I want to bring in is 2 decks of cards to just bring some guidance in for you. So I'm going to bring in the Divine Feminine Gets Real Oracle, just to bring in some messages about anything that you can perhaps work on or affirm to remember this, and to work on balancing yourself and bringing yourself back down to earth when you are connecting with your person, so you can be more real with them. And I'm going to bring in the Mystic Moon Oracle, Divine Love Inspiration. And this is also about things like, like you may put on your best clothes when you know you're going to see them. But when you're in union, you're going to be seeing them when you're wearing your pajamas, when you're wearing all kinds of things. So it's about being very real. It's like you have to get real with yourself on this journey. And you have to get real with the way you are. Like I've done that in my own journey, where in the past, if I knew I was going to see my twin, I'd put my best dress on. Or I'd make sure I was looking absolutely 100% wonderful. Whereas I knew that I needed to be more me, more real. And that isn't me trying to put a front on, but it's me trying to be and show my best version when I am my best version anyway. I don't need to put my best dress on to feel that way, or to show my twin that part of me. And that's what we have to do. And that may resonate in some way, so we get more real with the way we are dealing with things and handling things with that. So what's the guidance around this, please, angels? 1 card coming out. So we've got, I lovingly release the past. So this can also be letting go of the past, letting go of the way perhaps you saw them in the past, or you looked at them in the past, or thought this journey was in the past, so you can move forward fearlessly. I accept where I am today. I lovingly release the past and embrace a more enriching, wonderful, real future. So you start humanizing the journey. 1 card. We've got don't settle. There you go. Says you deserve nothing but the best. So your person is the best for you, and you deserve what's best for you. So if you are allowing them to get away with things because you're thinking, and they give me an itchy neck as well, which is also about changing old habits or stiff thinking. So the way that perhaps you thought they were, it's about seeing things differently there. But don't settle means if you've put up with getting scraps, having breadcrumbs, or putting up with the back and forth behaviour, you're not settling anymore. So you're also lovingly releasing the past. So you're saying that to yourself. I'm not going to do the same things I've always done in this connection. I'm going to release that now and move forward fearlessly. I'm going to move forward in a new way. So I really feel this don't settle is about you being more in the flow of things, seeing them for what they actually are. So for example, if you're seeing them as someone who's out of reach, recognise they're not. That's just your perception. Or you can set your boundaries down and say, I know how magnificent I am. If you want me, then you've got to show up for me. And they give me fear around that as well. So it's letting go of fear around tiptoeing around them, or tiptoeing around the connection because you're afraid of losing them, or them seeing you in a different way. And at the end of the day, you are a perfect match for each other. And God knows that. They give me fear. So it really is about releasing all the fear, letting go of the fear, lovingly releasing the past, anything that brought up fear, so you humanize things in a higher way. And you say, wow, this is my perfect person, but they're not actually perfect, because nobody is. And if we start thinking they are perfect, then that's where the problem comes in, because we're not humanizing that. We are dehumanizing that, putting them up on a pedestal, thinking they're this divine mystical being, which they are, because you are also a divine mystical being, but you're also a human. You go to the bathroom, you go through moods, you have emotions, you have physical things happen to you. One day you feel good, then you may feel bad. You may have a bad day where you feel rough, you feel like you look bad, and you think, oh, and they have the same thing. So you have to remember, this journey is a journey of a human aspect too. It's about recognizing that they do make mistakes and they aren't perfect, just like you make mistakes and you aren't perfect. So when you start humanizing them, that's when the whole journey changes. So don't settle, lovingly release the past, know your own worth, and remember, they are just as really, they give me the word basic because it's like they're just as basic as you. Now, that doesn't mean you're basic in any way, shape, or form. It just means that you have to remember that there is a basic version of you and a basic version of them. And when you remember that, you look at them differently. So you still love them and want them, but you're not romanticizing them. And that makes you more balanced and calm because you think, I am okay. I was okay before you, I'll be okay again. I can handle this now. I can handle this because I recognize that you are a person. You're not just this romanticized person that I'm making you out to be. I hope this helps. Have a great day and I'll see you soon.